Hey, everybody, it's Dave here, and we've got Jonas from Germany, fresh from coaching his youth football, that's American football, by the way, team. He's here to talk Kirk Cousins, and should he stay and should he go? It is time for Climbing the Pockets, Vikings Daily SITREP. Hey, Jonas. You wanted to talk about Kirk Cousins. There's been some debate on the Twitter sphere that the Vikings are going to keep him, and there's debate that no way he's going to be traded. And it all revolves around how much the team is paying him. Where would you like to start with this subject?
Well, I think we just have to get realistic about what numbers we are talking, because I've seen a lot of proposals. I've seen like 100 different polls where people were assuming certain numbers, where people assumed that this contract, like the last extension, is gonna cut down his cap hit, which it almost certainly would. But this definitely comes for a price, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this. But NFL contracts are a complex matter, and it's sometimes hard to get all of this together. So I wanted to look at the last extension of Kirk Cousins and how that worked, and how those things, first of all, the last extension affects this extension because of the way it was structured, and you also could see a way how a new extension would work. And
Well,
I've seen.
How did his last extension go?
Well, from when he entered the 2020 offseason, it was kind of a similar situation to this one, because he also went into the offseason with the highest cap hit so far from his contract. That year it was 31 million after he had 24 million in his first year and 29 million in his second year. So it was his highest cap hit so far, and the Vikings were tight against the cap like almost every year since he has been here, and they obviously traded Stefan Diggs. They let Xavier Rhodes go. They released Linval Joseph. So they did a lot to free up cap money, but they still needed more, especially because they were about to franchise tag Anthony Harris. And yeah, they definitely needed something from Kirk Cousins, because trading wasn't really an option in that offseason, because he still had his no trade clause, which was removed by this extension. And then they extended him for 2 years, 66 million. So he got 33 million per year, which was a nice rise for him at this point. So even though they cut down his cap hit for 2020, he still got a big raise. And also, I've seen a lot of people just show possible contracts for Cousins in his new extension, which just waive off those 45 million, which he already has guaranteed. And it just doesn't work like this. They still had to pay those 31 million, even though they didn't have to keep that whole cap hit, because they converted some of it into a signing bonus. But this money still was on the deal. So it was basically a 3-year, 97 million deal at this point. And they cut down his salary by 10 million. So he was at 21 million, which was which was very manageable at this point. But after that, his cap had jumped to 31 million, so it was still 2 million below his average for the extension. And yeah, then you have those 10 million you cut off the 2020 salary. You had the 2 million you were under the average in 2021, which makes so you have 12 million plus the 33 million that is the average of his deal. So you get those 45 million. So you see the cap that was gone in 2020, it's still there, it's still present, and it's going to be the case with the new contract too, because let's say they just cut off 50 million from his current salary and extend him by 3 years. So you get you convert 20 million of his current base salary into a signing bonus again, and those 3 years will probably be around an average of 35 million, I think, which I think is his current market value. I think most sites have him between 34, 35 million. And then you spread out this signing bonus. 5 million stay in this year and 5 million in each of the next few years. So you have new money, 35 million per year, which again is fair market value, plus every year 5 million, which you cut off this year. So you have basically after this year, where you would have 30 million cap hit, you would have a 3-year 120 million deal, so 40 million per year. And you probably stay below that average in 2023. So you would have, again, like this, you would have a similar situation like you have with the current 45 million at the back end of the next contract, which would probably be around 55 million in the last year. It's just the numbers we talk about. It's the situation the Vikings put themselves in when they set up this last year, because you can't just scratch it off. Cousins would never agree to that, because this money is already guaranteed for him. Why would he just wash that off? Especially since he knows that if he just plays out the deal, he's gonna easily get 35 million per year next season on the open market. So there's really no reason for him to just waive that off. And until he decides to waive it off, the Vikings can't do anything about it. So any extension and any contract proposal has to include those 45 million in some type of form. No matter if you pay it this year, or if you spread it out into the next few years, but it will still be present, and it will be on top of those 35 million per year.
Yep, exactly. A lot of people don't understand how when we talk extensions and they take and convert a chunk of money into signing bonus, how all that does is put the value of the contract, larger chunks of it, and pushes it down the road. And when they push it down the road, that money is still owed, right? You may drop his cap hit for the current season, but that money is pushed down the road and has to be paid no matter what, especially when you put it in the form of a bonus, because then it becomes 100% guaranteed. That's how we got into this before. When we guaranteed him, it pushed that signing bonus money down into this season, and that's why we look at his contract and we see 45 million. Are you nuts? He's not worth that. The Vikings are on the hook for that $10 million no matter what. If they trade Kirk, if they cut Kirk, if they keep Kirk, no matter what, they're on the hook for that $10 million. They've got to spend that on top of his base salary this season. And that's where it comes up to the 45 million. if we do it again, all we're doing is pushing more guaranteed money down the road that eventually the Vikings must pay, whether he's on the team or not. This is the conundrum that New Orleans is in, where they pushed all that money into the future, and now they've got to pay all these checks out to players that aren't playing, and they don't have the cap space to do anything with. And they're the worst in the cap hell, as we call it, of any team in the league. Green Bay is number 2, and they've got a decision to make with Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. But we're putting ourselves in a disadvantaged position by extending Kirk Cousins and pushing that money down the road, because that money may be useful later if we need it. Say we need a right guard free agent, right? And we can find one, but now we can't pay him because we still owe this money. That's what you're getting at, correct?
Yeah, and of course, I've seen some people suggesting that he might take a pay cut based on some interviews he's given, but you know, I don't have any insight. I don't obviously know him personally, and I am not going to pretend like I have any inside source or something like that. It's obviously when I say he's not going to take a pay cut, it's obviously speculation, but it's speculation based on his actions right now and his actions over his whole career, because every decision he's made, every contract he's signed was to max out his financial benefits, and that's perfectly fine. He has every right to do it. But if you just look at these decisions, I mean, those short contracts alone, which he definitely wanted when he first signed here, he wanted to have like a 3-year deal to cash in a few years later again. And he again just signed for 2 more years. So he now has a chance to again renegotiate this thing. And I know people point at the first contract and say, oh, the Jets, they wanted to pay more, which might be true, although I don't think the margin would have been big. And
No,
you
it was
also
only,
have to take
it was only a couple of million at the time more than what the Vikings had offered. And he chose Minnesota because he thought he had a better chance at winning. And winning obviously ups your value. And he thought, long haul, I'm going to make more money playing for Minnesota. And he obviously has. You got to give him his due. When it comes to getting paid, he has to be one of the absolute best quarterbacks in the league. He is. He played in Washington under the franchise tag twice. That exponentially went up. He came to Minnesota with a 100% fully guaranteed 3-year contract. That's the first time that had ever been done. He then got the extension and are making the Vikings pay for that one way or another. They are. And he and his family are set up for a couple generations. And I have no issue with that. But the question is it best for the Minnesota Vikings and everybody's goal for us to win a championship? And that's where this debate comes down to.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe he will just turn around and say, now I'm 35 years old, maybe I just want to go win one now, and so I may just take a bit less. But for now, we just have his current his actions and his moves so far to base off those speculations, and those moves always suggested that he just maximized his financial value, and that's what he got. And unless I see him do this 180, I just can't assume that oh, he's going to do it and he's going to take a pay cut. If he does, great. I mean, I'd take him at a value that would allow the team to actually someday build a roster around him. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. I don't hate him. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but we have to think about what's best for the Vikings. And if he's not willing to take that kind of pay cut, and for now, there's nothing, no actual action besides a few interviews that indicate that he would take that cut. And unless he does that, we just have to think about other options. And I think right now the most desirable option is still a trade.
You're 100% correct in my opinion, but that's just Dave. I want to thank you for coming on, Jonas. This is a wonderful topic that will be debated hotly until something happens between now and the new league year or a few days afterwards when they have to make the decision. And we'll find out. Any last words?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very excited about this offseason overall because it's just a new beginning, and new beginnings are always exciting. And I like what they did on the two key positions they filled so far. I really like Kwesi, Adofo-Mensah. I was also positive about Kevin O'Connell. He at the start of the coaching search, he wasn't my absolute top candidate, but of the 4 finalists, he was my top candidate. I had him over Morris, over Jim Harbaugh. So I was happy how this thing turned out. So yeah, I'm excited about the process. I'm happy we are getting closer to the resolution, so we can't stop beating that dead horse. Yeah,
absolutely. And what do we say as Vikings fans?
Skol.
Skol Vikings!
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're listening on your favorite aggregator, make sure you rate us. And always feel free to join the conversation here at Climbing the Pocket.
Skol, everybody.